If you're wondering who I am, just know that I'm wondering the exact same thing.
Lattimer, right?
Was on a TV show.
It's what my shirt says.
Yes. Warehouse 13.
Woo!
Yes, thank you. I've been the star of several canceled television shows. Yeah. I am honorably known as the most successful anonymous guy in Hollywood. So that's a pretty... Everybody thinks I'm David Boreanaz. They're like, dude, Buffy, I love that. I've got a few free pizzas and a couple of hugs and kisses, as David Boreanaz. So I got that going for me.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's something.
It is. It's the little things that count.
Fantastic.
I'm going to come out here. Is that all right? Because now I'm like...
Make all the video guys scramble. Oh, do the catwalk.
Hi.
You're in Miami. You have to do the fashion show catwalk. I love it. If you guys have any questions, we do have a microphone right over here by pillar 34.
I was thinking instead of doing that, how about if I come down into the audience and you can ask me the questions, makes it a little more...
People are going to get weird if you're okay with that.
I love weird. Are you kidding me? I was like, weird? That's me. I'm going to go down.
Jump on down. He's coming in, guys.
No, get back up. Cameraman says no.
Cameraman says no.
Cameraman says no.
You're getting a good workout jumping up and down, though.
All right, how about this? I'll stand here. Cameraman, are you good? All right, yes, sir.
Questions for you.
Yes, sir.
First one, if you could have any of the artifacts in the warehouse...
I've never had that one.
I'm sure it's totally out of the blue.
Yes.
What would it be and why and what would you do with it?
Well, first, I always, people ask what my favorite artifact was. I like to say it was Abe Lincoln's hat because Pete had an irresistible urge to free Mrs. Frederick. And I remember looking at that and I'm like, really? Are we going with this? And they're like, we're going with it. And I love the fact, I thought that it really kind of showed where we were coming from at Warehouse 13. Like, and it's like Pete. It all came from a truly honest place and a place of actual goodwill and not malice. It's like Warehouse 13. The kids could watch it. The college-age people could watch it. The adults could watch it. There wasn't gratuitous violence or sex or language. It was truly a remarkable show for me because it brought people together. It brought families together. Like when I was a kid, when we only had 3 channels, and we used to just have candlelight. We would sit by candlelight and tell stories of warehouses. But, we only had 3 channels. And now you've got 120 channels. And so, a lot of families aren't sitting down and having dinners. And then we would sit and have dinner and talk about the TV shows. And now, at least for a time, Warehouse 13, I think, kind of did that for a lot of the people that I know. And it made me feel good because I think, we need to start coming together a little bit more as thank you. Jessica, everyone.
Hi, Jessica.
Now get back to work and sell T-shirts. Like, what are you doing over here?
She's back there selling these T-shirts.
You're not going to get your $4. Hello? Hello? McFly?
Second question.
Yes.
How is it as an actor to act on a green screen? I imagine most of Warehouse 13, a lot of it was with a green screen.
Surprisingly, not a lot. Surprisingly, a lot of it was, actual sets, but we did do some green screen stuff. And Saul Rubinek, Saul Rubinek is such an incredibly accomplished actor. And then all of a sudden he found himself in front of a green screen pretending that there were ghosts circling his head. So he called it schmacting. And there was schmacting and then facting. He did a lot of facting too because he was in charge of all the, all the exposition, which is when he'd have to go, yes, but you've got to get the dilithium crystals back to the Farligan cave before the Farvanugan come and explode. So, we at first when we were doing a lot of when we would do stuff in front of the green screen, it's intimidating because I'm like, okay, that's a career wrap on Eddie McClintock. Thank you, because you never know what they're going to do. And then I thought for the budget that we had for a sci-fi television show, I thought the effects were pretty good. So we learned to trust the effects people. And, it's the same as acting. You're pretending. So the better you pretend, the better it's going to look. And the more you believe, you have to just go, look, I believe. And I think that helps.
Excellent. Lastly, what's next for Eddie McClintock?
Well, I'm going to go home. I've got a lot of stuff to do. I'm going to play Call of Duty online for probably 8 or 10 hours in my underwear and eat Cheetos. No, the fake Hollywood answer, oh man, I got so much going on. I mean, I've got people are calling Spielberg, I got to call him back, Al Pacino. Oh, did I drop something? I'm sorry. I just put that away. I actually do have auditions tomorrow, so on the plane ride home tonight, I'll be studying, and hopefully I've got an audition for ABC Family tomorrow, and that's Allison Scagliotti has a new show on ABC Family called Stitchers. If you haven't seen it, I guess it's supposed to be pretty good. I'm sure it is if she's in it. Yeah, good. And Aaron Ashmore also has a new show called Killjoys, which is on the Sci-Fi Channel, which is supposed to be really good. So hopefully I get invited back to Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. That was a fun one. Interestingly, what's that? Oh, hey, dude, how are you? Thank you. When I got the job to go do S.h.i.e.L.D., it was the night before. I had to be on set at 5 in the morning, so I had to drive about 45 minutes to get there. So that means I had to be up at about 3, and I was studying my lines the night before, and one of the producers called, and he goes, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm learning my lines. And he goes, well, stop, because Marvel says we have to rewrite all your scenes. And it was like 10 o'clock, and I was like, okay. And so the next morning when I got to work, I had 6 scenes that were spread out throughout the script. As if you've seen the episode, it's where we're in the office and the Vintac is telling them about why he had to take the crystals or whatever it was and put them in the thing. And yeah, and it was all new, all of it, paragraphs full of stuff. So I had to go to the director and I'm like, look, I don't know these lines because I just got them 5 minutes ago. And we were doing what's called block shooting. So instead of it being 6 small scenes, you block shoot, you shoot it all at once as one scene. So I had 6 scenes that I had no idea. It was all, and like I said, it was like, yes, but the dilithium crystal must go to the whatever. I mean, it was like Greek, And in the scene, I've got Clark Gregg, Ming Na, everybody standing around me in a circle. And truly, talk about feeling naked on stage. It was a very difficult day, probably the hardest day in my career. But we got through it, and I thought they did a great job editing out my buffoonery. And I was real proud of the episode. And so, anyway, that's a long story about the Kree. And they let me be funny at the end, which was cool. When I was like, "Why is my hand not blue?" I'll keep watch. And they're like, "Yes, you do that. Go keep watch there, Sparky." Yes, ma'am.
Howdy, it's me again.
Yes.
First of all, you're a fantastic human being. Just want to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Also, you have a lot of experience stage acting, but what are your feelings towards voice acting?
As a matter of fact, I don't have a whole lot of stage experience. I wish that I had more. I actually just did my first play in LA. We did a 1950s style radio play. And, back in a radio play, you're reading. So we were all standing at microphones reading, and it was really a blast. I got to work with Armin Shimmerman and Patty Tallman and a bunch of people that are just awesome sci-fi people. So that was fun. As far as voice acting, it's a great gig, and you've got to be incredibly talented to do it. And if anybody out there needs a unemployed sci-fi actor to do some voice. You, sir? Okay, I'll call me. So, yeah, voice acting is amazing. It's cool.
Cool, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, darling.
Hello.
We've got to stop meeting like this. Hold me.
If you were a real Warehouse 13 agent, real or fictional, who would you have by your side collecting artifacts?
If I was a real or fictional sci-fi warehouse agent, Micah. That's my hook right there. That's my girl. It's funny because Joanne, what you saw on the show is pretty much how it was between Joanne and I, and it started off that way. I was auditioning for the show, and I'd been invited to go to the network and audition for the network. So when I walked in, there were 6 Petes and 6 Micahs, and throughout the day they mixed us and matched us to see, their chemistry reads. They're actually called chemistry reads. So, by the end of the day, I hadn't read with Joanne at all, and I was like, oh, she must not be very good. But she sure is pretty, though. And so at one point, the director poked his head out of the door, and he grabbed one of the other Petes, and he put his arm around him, and he walked him down the hall. Excuse me. And I was like, that's it. I started to take off my tie, and I took off my jacket, and I was like, you know what? I just came from Bones. I did 4 episodes of Bones as Sully. I've been on a roll, and here I am, thank you. Here I am at this, Warehouse 13, and I've got 2 babies. I just had my second baby, I got 2 babies, and they're at home, and they're like birds in the nest. Their necks are stretched up really high, and they're waiting for me to swoop in and regurgitate the worm. And guess what, guys? I got no freaking worm, okay? No worm. I did this. And the other Petes and Micahs were like... And Joanne, who was like, sitting, Indian style, because she's so, she was like, dude, come here, dude. To this day, she still calls me dude. I don't think she knows my real name. She's like, come here, dude. What's wrong? What is wrong? No. And I'm like, I just had my second kid. I don't have any money in my house. I got a mortgage, indoor plumbing. I don't know what to do. And she was like, it's all good, man. It's all... And just then, the casting director came out and said, Ms. Kelly, Eddie, you guys are next. And Joanne looked at me and was like... And I was like, oh. So then we walked in, we doing our scene. It was a scene from the pilot where, with the Bloodstone, and we're protecting the president, and Pete shows up late, and Micah calls him a showboat. She's like, oh yeah, you showboat. And Joanne called me a showbot by accident. And now, keep in mind, this is in front of all the network executives, right? So she goes, oh, Pete, you're such a showbot, or whatever the line was. And we both looked at each other, and then I just went, showbot. And then I went, hee, and ended it with a Michael Jackson flourish. And the executives, not for the first time in my career, were looking at me like, how did you get in this room? What did you just do? And I was just like, I don't know. And Joanne's like, dude, and punches me in the shoulder. And I'm like, ow. And we went through this whole thing. And when we walked out, Mark Stern, the head of the network, turned to all the other, we found this out later, he turned to everyone and said, that was the show. Whatever that was that just happened in here, he's the guy, she's the girl, and that's the show. And so that's how it was. So I wouldn't want anyone, thanks. I wouldn't want anyone other than Joanne. Yes, sir.
Well, to start with, you are amazing. I love Warehouse 13. It's a great show.
Thank you, brother.
There's two questions. One, how much random facts do you learn on the set? I mean, the history in the show is amazing, and all the artifacts. You must have learned a lot.
Well, thank you. You would think so, but since I'm like 4 IQ points above the short bus, there's not a whole... I crammed 4 years of college into 6, so you kind of get an idea of... But like s.h.i.e.l.d., Allison remembers everything. She knows all of it. So she actually benefited from it. I was like, yeah, what she said. No, I learned some stuff. That's what another thing I loved about the show is like, what? You can actually learn something? I mean, I know that Keeping Up with the Kardashians is very informative, but wow, here's a show that actually you can learn something from. And I've talked to teachers, college professors and high school teachers that said they were using Warehouse as, a teaching motivator to learn about history and other things in history. So I was really proud of that. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Yes, more?
The other question was, there's a lot of overlap.
How are we doing, cameraman? Am I good? God, you're handsome.
You should see the view from back here.
I mean, hello. Oh, are you talking about my buttocks? Hey, I can twerk. That's right. That's right. Huh? Oh, yeah. What? Hey, it's my turn up here, mister. Magic Mike 3? Like, maybe they'll invite me to do like Magic Mike 6. You know, I'll be the one-legged.
So the second question was, there was a lot of overlap between Eureka and Warehouse 13, both amazing shows. Were you ever sad that you didn't get to do any of the overlapping, really, or did it ever cross your mind?
Yeah, I would have loved to have done it. The reason, I don't know if you guys heard the question, there was the overlap between Warehouse 13 and Eureka. Like Allison went over and did a few of the episodes, and Grayson? What's his...
Fargo?
Fargo, thank you. He had come over and... Neil. He had come over and done a few episodes of our show. The reason that I never went over there and did their show, or the reason that Colin never came to do ours, is because Joanne and I, on our show, were basically in every scene. And so we just couldn't take the time to go over and do that show. But I would have loved to. I think Colin Ferguson is not only a great guy, but he's incredibly funny, and I would have loved to have had an opportunity to work with him. Thanks, man.
Hi.
Hello, darling.
Hello. Great show, by the way.
Thank
really
you.
loved all you guys acting. My question was, who is your favorite actor to act with? Like, who did you enjoy working with?
On the show?
Yeah. Or multiple people.
I mean, there's such a huge list. Kate Mulgrew, Jerry Ryan. I mean, come on. My mom was a Starfleet captain, and my wife was the hottest Borg in the universe. Well, like, what? And I got killed by Data. So, I mean, I can't really say that there's one in particular. I know that Saul Rubinek, if you've never seen the movie True Romance, I mean, the guy's done a million things, but for me, it was he played Lee Donowitz in the movie True Romance, which is Quentin Tarantino's first film that he didn't direct, but he wrote. And when I saw that they were considering Saul to play Artie, I was like, oh my God, it's Lee Donowitz. I still am I'm from Ohio. Like, I played football and wrestled my whole life, and I always loved film, and I loved television, but that was never something that anyone said you should do. So to this day, I met Richard Dreyfuss. I'm a huge Jaws fan. I met Richard Dreyfuss and made such an ass out of myself. I was like, I squeed and then I peed. I was like, oh my God. And then, so that didn't go well. So whenever I get to meet any actor, or even if I don't know them, I admire actors for what they're able to do. I don't even know if I consider myself an actor. I'm just faking it. I don't know. I'm not like an actor. I just so I'm always excited to meet anyone and work with anyone. But working with Saul was because he taught me a lot. I would go and watch he and CCH Pounder whenever they had a scene together. We'd be like, hey, CC and Saul, their scene's up, let's go watch. And we would go and watch because it's like a free master class. You're watching two people that are brilliant. So I was very lucky that way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
My mom and I love watching Warehouse 13 together.
Yes.
But every time I watched, one question popped in my head. What artifact do you not like at all?
What artifact? Wow. What artifact did I not like at all?
Yeah.
I think you have stumped me. I don't know. I nothing really. I guess there was one where it was like the marbles, and I was like, we had to find a marble bag, and I'm just like, go to Miami. They got plenty of marble bags down there. Because I almost bought one when I got here. I was like, I better get one of those marble, the banana hammocks. It's a family show, I understand it, but I was like, really? Endless Wonder? We have that giant warehouse, and we're looking for marbles. But the episode turned out great, and I changed my mind by the end. It was a good episode. So, how'd I do?
Thanks.
I should be a politician. Well, now, see, I like them all. Let me tell you, I like them. Hello.
Hello.
Rainbow Sparkle.
Yes, I'm losing my horn. That's okay.
Are you horny, baby?
Hello.
Hello.
My question for you is,
Yeah.
I imagine with you and the rest of the cast being so funny, there were a lot of funny moments on set. What was one of your favorite, backstage moments that happened on set?
Like I said, I'm from Ohio. I was telling someone today the big aspiration was to end up being a vacuum cleaner salesman at the Hoover Company, because North Canton is where the Football Hall of Fame is, and the Hoover vacuum cleaner. So it was like, dude, are you going to go to work for Hoover? Yeah, bud, right on. And so anytime I show up to work and get to do what I love to do, I don't know if any of you, I know many of you have come over and talked to me and met me, but the line between myself and Pete Lattimer it's pretty blurry. So basically, I just showed up to work every day and was just tried to be, myself. So every day for me was funny and fun, and Joanne is not a morning person. And I'm hey, hi, shaking hands, kissing babies. I'm like the mayor of Warehouse 13 in the morning. And Joanne's just like, get away. She's kind of grumpy. So every morning I was always trying to I'd be like, hey, Joanne, hey, good morning. Hey, Joanne, hey, pulling her hair and running away. So our relationship was much like Pete and Micah's. I drove her insane, and she loved me for it, and I was very lucky to have her with me. So I know I didn't answer your question, but every day was funny. I can't remember anything in particular because it was all. I've told you guys, doing Warehouse 13 was the best 6 years of my career. I had people around me that I grew to love intensely, and it's hard not to see them every day. So, but the good thing is I get to come here, and in television, you don't know. Like, you make it, and then you wait 9 months, and then it airs, but I get to come here and meet people and talk to people and thank them for watching the show, and I get to see in the eyes of the people that come up to talk to me that, we did something that people appreciated. So I get that. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello. The episode where the computer took over the warehouse, where you guys got to work with Rene Aubergenois, what was working with him like? He was goofy in the episode, but what was he like behind the scenes?
Rene is, classically trained. He's an artist. He's a photographer. He's really he's the real deal. So seeing him act so goofy, which for me is just kind of my wheelhouse in general, it was great. And I think it was a lot of fun for him to be able to do something that was really outside of what he normally gets hired to do. But he's amazing. And then seeing him make the turn at the end was great. So, yes, ma'am. What's up, Jessica?
Yes, I'm
Hi.
Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
Hello. You're awesome.
See, I know some things.
2 questions kind of combined in one. The first question is, out of all your Warehouse 13 experience, what was the most endless wonder-like adventure you ever gone on?
First of all, I didn't like my hair in season 5. Let's just get that out there. Let's get it over with. I didn't like it. My wife was like, well, now that you're canceled, just grow your hair out. Who cares? And I was like, yeah, who cares? Let's grow my hair out. She was like, you need to quit putting dippity-doo in your hair because you still look like Jason Priestley from 90210. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to quit putting dippity-doo in my hair because I look like Jason Priestley from 90210. And so the premise was that I was going to grow out my hair, and then after I saw it, and people on Twitter were like, your hair's poofy, it's floofy, it's puffy, it's fluffy, it looks like a mushroom head. Is that a wig? Is that a merkin? What do you got on your head? Did you kill an animal and glue it to you? What happened to you? You were handsome and now you look like a fool. And so that hurt. That hurt my heart. So just for the record, I didn't like my season 5 hair either. But the moment for me that sticks out is the moment where Pete gets to tell everyone that all of it was his endless wonder. And, it's like, I'm better at talking about it now than I was at Comic-Con, our last Comic-Con. It was, like I said, I never thought that I never really thought that I would be where I am. I'm very thankful for where I am. I'm thankful to you guys for having faith in me and recognizing something. It's such a great honor. So to be able to sit there and actually, because we were sitting at the table, and Jack Kenny, who was directing the episode, he came up to me and he goes, now remember, you're never going to get a chance to say this to these people ever again. And go. And then after the first take, he came over and he goes like, okay, it's pretty good, but let's do another one with a little less crying. I was like, you started it, man, with the whole never get to... It was very emotional for me. I wear my heart on my sleeve sometimes, and I love those people, and it truly was the whole thing. Like, I was speaking from not just Pete's perspective, but from my own. In the business, you work with people, and then for as much as you say, hey, let's hang out, let's get together. Some people are in New York, some people are in Canada. We're all over the country now. So for as well intentioned as it all is, you're losing your family. And I'm lucky enough to be able to see Saul here at conventions and see my castmates from time to time. Aaron Ashmore is somewhere. I'm not sure where he is right now, but he's been texting me going, how's the convention? And so we try and stay in touch as best we can. But I knew I was saying goodbye to those people. I was also saying goodbye to the fans. It was my opportunity to say goodbye to the fans. And it was an opportunity to say goodbye to my crew, our amazing crew. It was, like I said, the best 6 years of my career. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
My husband wants to know if you got to keep any props.
Dante, did I keep any props? Yes, I did. I fleeced the whole place. They're like, McClintock took everything. Well, first of all, in like season 1, the wardrobe, we call them, up in Canada, they call them the wardrobe mistress. She was like, what kind of clothes do you like? What do you look good in? I'm like, you know what? Strangely enough, I only look good in Prada. And I know, it's weird, but it's Prada or nothing. And so, I mean, I see people on other shows that are on network shows, and they're like, how did you pull off the Prada thing? Because if you don't know, Prada is an incredibly expensive Italian brand, and it became a joke in the show. My boss couldn't even believe it. He's like, where'd you get all this Prada? I had Prada shoes, Prada pants, Prada shirt. And in the telenovela episode, she even said, someone says, use your belt. And he goes, but it's Prada. And so I got to keep all my wardrobe pretty much. My wife walks by my closet and she's like, I hate you. I hate you. I've got Prada shoes and pants, and but weirdly enough, I wear Vans, So yeah. But also there was a set of bongos that sat on Artie's desk, and whenever we were in Artie's office, I would always pick up the little bongos, and I'd be like, I got my luggage, and everybody's like, oh my God. Can Eddie please put down the bongos? And I'd be like, hey, you guys having fun? It's a good day, right? It's only on our 15th hour, but hey, we're having fun, right? And so I felt like those bongos were kind of imbued with, it became an artifact for me. So I took the bongos and I had everybody from the cast and everyone from the crew sign my bongos. And that's kind of my heart one that I took. But then I got the Tesla rifle. No. And there was only one of them. Like the Teslas themselves, they made like 1,500. You can, at QMX, you can buy them for like $1,500, right? So I'm like, oh, you know what? I think can I just have the Tesla rifle, of which there is one? And then, of course, after the show, I was like, hey, will you sign my Tesla rifle, Joanne? And she signed, like, hey, Aaron. And so I'm just like, eBay. Oh. It's like the Holy Grail. There's one, and it's signed by everyone from the cast. And, I got to put my kids through private school, so.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're amazing.
Ma'am. Thank you. Hello, young lady.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. When you were on set or backstage, did you or the other actors ever play, like, practical jokes or do tricks on each other?
Were there practical jokes played on the set? Always. It was one big practical joke. And for me, like I said, I'm running around and having a good time. And, hopefully, I don't think it was at the expense of everyone else, you know, like when it was time to work, it was time to work, and we did our work. And there were times when we should have been working that we were not, and then Jack Kenny, our boss, would come in and be like, Eddie, put down the pizza and go, you know, and because I'd walk on set with like a whole mouthful of pizza, and Joanne would be like, are you serious, dude? You've got a pimento in your tooth. Yeah, practical jokes all the time. All the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. For you, which classic movie would you have loved to be in? Like Casablanca, Godfather?
The one that pops to my mind is a movie called The Longest Day, which was about the Normandy invasion, Operation Overlord. I love reading about American and world military history, so that's one pops up. I would have loved to have been in John Carpenter's The Thing. That's my all-time favorite. If you haven't seen John Carpenter's The Thing with Kurt Russell, it is brilliant. It is amazing. I would have loved to have been able to be in Apocalypse Now. Young Frankenstein. I mean, you know, I have so many, so I don't know. As far as a classical film, I would have loved to have been in the original King Kong. I mean, that's like, or the original Godzilla. Like, I could have been Aaron Burr's, was that his name, Aaron Burr? What was it? I'm sorry, Aaron Burr was a politician. From way back in olden times. Raymond Burr, I could have been his, like, cameraman. And then, you know, hello? So, I mean, that's just that's my jam, you know, like King Kong, Godzilla, Jaws. I would have loved to have been in Jaws. I have that's how I blew my meeting with Richard Dreyfuss. I was like, he was sitting in the chair, and I was like, hey, Mr. Dreyfuss. Hi, my name's Eddie McClintock. Yeah, I'm on this show, Warehouse 13. It's just like whatever, but I'm in the green room, and I'm a huge fan of yours. Oh my God, your work is so brilliant, and I just everything Jaws is, but I'm such a fan. But I'm not like a weird stalkery fan, because that's not. You want to see my tattoo? And then I went, oh my God, I just became like a weird stalkery fan, because I actually had ink pushed into my skin with a needle because of a movie that you're in, and that's weird. So I'm going to walk away. I'm just going to go, and then maybe we can try this again later. And here I go. And then it just got worse, because he was at his photo, his photo op, and I was talking to him. I was like, hey, will you tell me when Richard Dreyfuss has his photo op, because I want to come down and get my picture taken with him. So then it's like, hey, Mr. Dreyfuss, and he was looking the other way. He was like, I'm like, hey, it's me, Eddie McClintock. The other day I met you, and I told you that I wasn't a weird stalkery fan. Then I pointed to my tattoo, and then it became a weird stalkery fan. So I'm here to take my picture with you, and I hope that's okay, and they snapped the picture. He's looking up like this, and I'm looking like. But it doesn't end there. Because my best friend and I, Steve Schick from Ohio, he's a huge Jaws fan too, so I'm like, I want Richard Dreyfuss to autograph a picture for me. So I wrote out, I want to be sure, you want to be sure, we all want to be sure. That's what I wanted him to write. And then on Steve's, I wrote, well, this was no boating accident. And so when I got it back, Steve's was perfect. Well, this was no boating accident. Best, Richard Dreyfuss. And mine looked like, it was like hieroglyphics or so. I was just like, I don't know what had happened. There was some stuff crossed out, and I was like, oh yeah. I go, let's try again. So there's a part where he and Brody are on the boat, and they're going out at night, and they find Ben Gardner's boat, and Brody's getting drunk on the back of the boat, and he's like talking, and Dreyfuss turns around, and he goes, with a mouthful of food, he goes, no kidding, want a pretzel? With no kidding, want a pretzel. So I wrote, no kidding, want a pretzel, and I sent my picture back. And then when I saw the gal who went to get it later on, she was like, I was like, what? And she showed me, and it still had the sticky on it that said, no kidding, want a pretzel. He had written, Eddie, I'm just too tired. Richard Dreyfuss. And I was like, I've become a mortal enemy of this human being. The person that I became a stalker that day. And it's so ironic, So anyway, just for people, I guess the point of the story is that you go up, you meet these people who you admire, and you feel like you said something stupid or did something stupid. It's never stupid. It's always a compliment, no matter what. And because except for me, I'm the stupid one. So hopefully I'll get to see Richard Dreyfuss again and try it again. So, did I answer a question of yours?
Yeah.
What was the question?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter, does it?
Doesn't
Doesn't really matter.
Jaws.
Thank you. Hey, man.
Hey. So, about Warehouse 13, was there ever an artifact that wasn't in the show that you felt should have been in the show?
Felt like should have been in the show? I don't know. They tossed around a few things. They tossed around the Fountain of Youth. They were going to do a thing about Fountain of Youth and like some time travel stuff that never made it. And also we kicked around the idea of using Hitler's microphone from Nuremberg. It was the microphone, his voice through the microphone that caused, but we thought maybe that would be a little too heavy. But still, it was that thought process that the writers made so brilliantly, the way they chose the artifacts and stuff like that. But those are the only two I can think of. Thanks, man. Hey, dude.
How's it going? Hey, just want to say thank you for being so outgoing the way you are with the fans. It's great.
Thanks.
It's really cool. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Well, it's like this. Let me tell you. When I first got this show, and I really didn't know about conventions. I had seen the movie Trekkies, and so, in the normie population, the Trekkies are considered like weird. So when I found out about coming to the conventions, and people like my normie friends would be like, oh my God, you're going to go to those conventions? Those people are like so weird. And I'm like, dude, every batting average of every baseball player and every game that's ever... So you're weird too, if that's the measure. Every jockstrap size of every football player that's... I'm just like, so shut down the... And then I come here and look, I think that we are a land of misfit toys. Remember that show? I want to be a dentist. So I feel like I fit right in. And also it's like, I've always thought, I was like, so wait a minute, they're going to give me a picture, I'm going to sign my name, and then they are going to give me money for that. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, that seems weird. And then to put it into perspective, because Joanne felt really weird about it. She was like, I don't want to take, and I was like, look, people spend money on the things they love. They make money so that they can spend money on the things they love. Some people love, model airplanes. They spend money on model airplanes. People in sci-fi, they love to come, and it's their way to talk to you and get to meet you, and you guys get something out of it. We get something out of it. But I've always felt like if you're going to walk up and give me $35 or $30 or however much money, there should be more than just, here you go, thanks. I really, and look, some actors, their lines are so long and they have such a huge fan base that it's just not feasible. Not everyone will get an opportunity to meet the person that they like. But right now in my career, I'm able to stand and talk to people and get to know them, and hopefully they'll walk away and go, I'm going to watch what he's on next, even if they don't. Because I get a lot of people that come up and they're like, I have no idea who you are. Why are you hugging me? This guy's hugging me twice. Once on the way in and once on the way out. I have no idea who he is. But, hopefully, and I always say that if you come over and I hug you, if you don't watch the show, you're going to get chronic bad breath for the rest of your life. So there's that, and it's real. I've always been a hugger, and did we hug? I didn't hug you? My Copenhagen. I'm not supposed to have that. My wife's going to beat me. She's like, you're not dipping Copenhagen, are you? No. Now I'm going to have a bruise, and she's going to know. Not that she'll ever see me naked, mind you. Because that ship has sailed. I'm 10 years married. Thank you. Good night. No. So anyway, what happened was I was behind the table and someone was like, can I have a hug? And I was like, sure. I came around and gave her a hug, and this young lady was crying, and she was just like, you have no idea how much this means to me, that you would come out here and hug me. And then, her story, she told me her story. She was gay and had not come out to her parents, and it was a huge struggle for her. And Pete's reaction to Jinx, and she, so through me and through my show and through my character, she was able to come out to her parents, and it meant a lot to her. And I thought, well, why not just stand out there and hug everybody? And for the people that think it's weird, that's fine. And for the people who need it, that's fine. Because I know I do. Like, I need hugs, man. That's just the way I grew up. So, thanks.
Thank you for that. The telenovela episode, where does that rank among your all-time faves?
That's my all-time favorite episode. It was the hardest. He asked about the telenovela episode. If you haven't seen season 5, well, I won't spoiler alert it, but we get sucked into a Spanish telenovela, and I had to take Spanish. I mean, my wife's Latina, so I kind of know some already, but it was so much fun. It was so much fun, but such a challenge to be able to have to still be funny in another language and just barely know what you're talking about. Like, I was like, am I saying, and so, huge challenge. But I thought the episode is truly, because I grew up on Carol Burnett, Harvey Korman, Mel Brooks, kind of that broad, over-the-top comedy. And I was like, wait a minute, so now I can actually go over the top? And they're like, yes, Eddie, go. So it was an opportunity for me to be just like, Bones, Scotty, Spot. Get back to the ship. So,
thank you. Great meeting you.
Thank you, brother.
And this one has to be our last question. We are running over time. I know. I'm sorry. But then you can go back and get a hug in his booth in the back.
Yay! Yes, ma'am.
I have 2 questions.
Real
quick, I promise.
Smart.
Was there a big difference from filming Warehouse 13 and when you went into filming on your episode of Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D.?
Well, I mean, the big difference between shooting a guest spot and shooting a show that you've been doing for 5 years is, I walk on the set of Warehouse 13 and I'm like, hey, what scene is this? And Joanne's like, are you kidding me? You've got a bunch of stuff to say. Joanne, the night before, she's like written out a manifesto about all her lines. And we were like, what are you, Kaczynski? Like, it just looks like some kind of, like she's getting ready to set off a bomb. And I'd walk on and I I don't know, was it, that's just the way I work. I'd walk on and be like, oh, okay, no, I got it. So, but on S.h.i.e.L.D., you know, you can't show up to somebody else's house and not, you know, take off your shoes at the front door. You know, it's like, I want to be polite, which ironically was so weird because I didn't know any of my lines. And I just felt so, I mean, it was, like I said, it was the hardest acting day of my life because you know, that's my responsibility to know my lines. And when you don't know your lines, and the crew, see, they don't know that I just received all my lines that morning. So after like the 8th hour, they're like, what is up with this guy? One of the crew guys came up and they were like, you know, yeah, dude, you're having trouble with your lines. And I was like, yeah, well, I didn't have them. And so he was like, oh, because we hate you. And I was like, do you hate me less now? He's like, so that's what it was. I mean, you know, I'm more relaxed when I'm at home than I am at someone else's house. So that's kind of the way it was. Part 2.
Chance you're going to be doing any future films and funny comedies?
Boy, I hope so. And so does my accountant. You know what I'm saying? So does my wife, because she likes Prada. You know, I'm like tomorrow I have 3 auditions, which is actually a lot for one day, but you know, they're coming, and one is for ABC Family, one is for a new show. Mark Wahlberg did a movie called Shooter. It's for the TV show of the same name. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying. So thank you, darling. You guys, thank you so much. Woo! Can't tell you how much this means to me. I appreciate it. Hopefully they'll invite me back. Chad, did you hear that? Invite me back. I went swimming, and I'm from California, and the water's like 32 degrees, and I'm like, oh, I was like, I should have brought my shampoo. I was out there like, yeah. I mean, I stayed out in the water for, my fingers looked like, you know, wrinkly. I was gonna do a simile. They looked like something wrinkly. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you so much, Eddie McClintock.